and welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. This Tuesday evening video is going to be a preview of tomorrow evening's Scottish Premiership game against Aberdeen, the second last game of the season, Celtic's last away game of this season. And Brendan Rodgers, in his press conference today, was talking about resting a few players, also saying that Callum McGregor and Dyson Maeda have minor injuries and they're not making the trip. And after the Hibs game, he did say that Kasper Schmeichel was sitting out this game and that Viljami Sinisalo would be back in goals. Brendan Rodgers didn't add very much other things to his press conference today. He was talking generally about his desire to have a Scottish core to his team, looking forward to having Kieran Tierney back next season, and praising the contribution of players like Ralston, Taylor and Bain, who, although they don't play every game, according to Rodgers, are very, very important behind the scenes. And it did look like Brendan Rodgers is hoping to add a few Scottish players to the squad for next season, and also hoping to bring a few academy players through into the first team over the next wee while as well. So in today's video, we're going to look at the predicted lineup, predicted score. We chat through some of the Aberdeen Celtic stats to get an idea of the history of the fixture, the games so far that we've played against Aberdeen this season, and one or two other wee interesting facts regarding the Aberdeen Celtic match. So, as I was saying, Brendan Rodgers saying that Callum McGregor is sitting this game out. Dyson Maeda had a minor injury that restricted him today with training, and so he's staying in Glasgow for treatment for the next couple of days. However, Rodgers reassured everybody that Maeda and McGregor will be back and fit and ready to play St Mirren in the last game of the season and in the cup final against Aberdeen the weekend after. And it's also expected that Cameron Carter-Vickers will be back also for the St Mirren match, and he and Schmeichel will both be available for the cup final the weekend after. Rodgers also was implying he's keen to get some of the backup players good game time before the end of the season, and also looking to bring through a couple more of the academy players to give them a bit more first team experience. And so on the basis of all that, my predicted lineup for tomorrow is Sinisalo in goals. At right back, Alistair Johnston, who now appears back to fitness. I think Johnston might have sat out this game had Carter-Vickers or McGregor been playing, but I think it's important to have one of Celtic's three nominated captains stroke vice captains to captain the side. So Alistair Johnston going to be at right back. I think Mike Navrocki is going to get a wee run out at centre back on the right hand side. Austin Trusty on the left, with Greg Taylor at left back. Possibly Jeffrey Schlupp might get the vote at left back. But I think Schlupp will be kept for the bench because he's able to cover so many different positions. I think Paulo Bernardo will take over the Callum McGregor role with Arnie Engels and Luke McCown in front of him. On the right, James Forrest. On the left, Yang, or vice versa. And through the middle, I think he'll go with Adam Ida to start with, hoping to give Johnny Kenny the second 45 minutes or the last 30 minutes if all goes to plan. I think on the bench he'll have players like Ralston and Scales and Schlupp to cover a variety of positions. Wouldn't be too unexpected to see Scott Bain as the backup goalkeeper on the bench rather than Schmeichel, to give Schmeichel a full week of training prior to the St Mirren, then the Aberdeen Cup final. And I think we also will probably see on the bench players like Bonner, McArdle, Turley, maybe Cummings, maybe Colby Donovan, maybe one or two others as backup players. And this gives Rodgers the flexibility that if things are going well, he can then use the younger players. If Celtic are needing to get a goal to get a draw or win in the game, we've got some experienced players to come on and give that extra bit of firepower for the last half hour, 20 minutes or so. In terms of a predicted score, going to go for a 3-1 win for Celtic. And crossing my fingers that James Forrest will score either in tomorrow evening's match or in the match at the weekend against St Mirren in the last game of the season to keep his incredible record going. So 3-1 victory predicted for me for tomorrow. Would be great to see what you do for yourself in terms of predicted lineup, which players will get a rest, which players will get a run out, and also what your own thoughts are regarding the scoreline tomorrow evening. The game will be live on Sky Sports. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, which is fine for us who watch the games primarily on television. Not so good if you're a Celtic fan travelling all that way up to Aberdeen and then all that way back from Aberdeen late at night. However, Sky have added this extra game to their lineup, possibly as a preview of the cup final in 11 days' time. This will, of course, be the fifth time we've played Aberdeen this season. Our first game against Aberdeen was back in October. That was that 2-2 draw, a game where Celtic looked really comfortable, 2-0 up. Then a rather poor spell just after half time let Aberdeen back into the game. Aberdeen then had a goal disallowed, and late in the game, Celtic bombarded the Aberdeen goal. There was a possible handball on the line, which VAR couldn't quite catch, and that game ended at 2-2. Shortly after that, on the 2nd of November, we played Aberdeen in the Scottish League Cup semi-final. That game ended 6-0 to Celtic, with Dyson Maeda scoring a hat-trick that day. Then in early December, we went up to Pittodrie for our first away game against Aberdeen this season. That ended 1-0 with a late goal by Rio Hatate. And then back at the end of February, we played Aberdeen in our second home game. This time we thumped them 5-1. In a very, very good performance, and was one of Celtic's better performances so far this season, I thought, only spoiled by a late goal for Aberdeen. In terms of looking at the Aberdeen Celtic matches all time in all competitions, Celtic will be going for their 100th win against Aberdeen in all competitions. At the moment, the record is 126 games, with Celtic 99 wins, 15 draws, and 12 defeats. Celtic have an excellent away record against Aberdeen. In the last 16 away games against Aberdeen, all of which have been in the league, Celtic have 13 wins and 3 draws. And the last time we lost away to Aberdeen was way back in February 2016, and also Brendan Rodgers has 13 league wins against Aberdeen, which is his equal best with Hearts and Dundee. And so if Celtic were to beat Aberdeen tomorrow evening, that would make Aberdeen the team against which Brendan Rodgers has won most league matches. Looking at the various different Celtic news sites, not terribly much happening in terms of players' ins and outs. I think seasons all over Europe and the world are winding down. Soon we'll be getting back some of our on loan players, such as Gustav Lagerbielke and Luis Palma, and their futures will be decided over the summer. Similarly, I think also players like Mike Nawrocki, Stephen Welsh might also be on their way out of the club this season. Brendan Rodgers in his press conference was suggesting that he's not expecting any players to leave this summer, but was aware that one or two players might be on their way out simply because the club gets a bid that's too major to turn down. And he also made some mention of the fact that there's the potential for an extra few £1 million coming into the club with the transfer of Jeremy Frimpong from German football, possibly to Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, or one of the big English Premier League clubs. However, at the moment, no concrete news of any players in or out at Celtic, no concrete news of any players that Celtic are pursuing, and no further news on the Greg Taylor contract or any possibilities of getting Kiesgarden or Strelic or another new striker in to supplement Maeda and Ida for next season. So that just about finishes things off for today. Just a wee polite suggestion at the end. If you are new to the channel, not yet subscribed, please do click that subscribe button, keep the numbers pushing up and up. Do feel free to share the channel's details and so on with other Celtic fans and football fans. All new subscribers greatly welcomed, and do feel free to pop your thoughts, comments into the comment section regarding tomorrow's lineup, the players, the score, etc. I'll be planning to do a post-match review video early on Thursday morning of the Celtic Aberdeen match. And so until the next video, good luck Celtic in beating Aberdeen tomorrow evening. Goodbye and hail, hail.